high tech.
Good evening, Rock again. This is your favourite Australian Hanamatos. Please join us on this, the Hidden City Roller Derby. How's it going, everyone?
Hello.
Hey man,
Good.
sounds like you're emerging from something.
I was just waiting for the. I was just waiting for the cultural appropriation and just some classic Australian music to go over the top there.
Maybe next week. So, I'm Simkov, your host, and we have... who's here today? Do you want to sound off?
This is Melon.
Volunteers? Anyone else?
Sounds like it's just Mel and Ben. Sorry, hello. Hey, I'm Glenn. How you going?
I'm Bert, aka Tori Dory. What's up?
I'm Enz,
Yeah,
aka
Enz.
the Grinder.
Welcome, Grinder.
So it's a big team tonight, 5 of us here, all from Melbourne. We've got a pretty packed 1 hour show for you. So I think first thing we're going to talk about was this Friday, a group of us, most of the people on the call except for Enzi, because he's got other better things to do with his life, came around to my joint and we tested Pack 2. Anyone got any initial thoughts on that night?
It's not just that we tested Pack 2, we played for a solid, I think, 8 hours of Pack 2 action. And basically, the conclusion I left with at the end of the night is that the new Lion box is actually viable.
I thought it was that Kuniyori was awesome. I thought that's what you left the night with.
No, I think if everyone had watched episode 1, my prediction that Against the Waves and Cloud the Mind ruined that card became true. I literally paid 7 fate for that card, and then he was clouded and bowed immediately. It felt bad. Simkoff and Bert, do you want to talk about your successes with the Lion box that night?
Well, my takeaway was that Spreading the Darkness is unplayable because as soon as you test a spell in a testing night, when there's a brand new spells in the environment, all of your opponents play 3 copies of Yogo Kikyo. So that's my takeaway, is that don't play any spells.
But that's just saying that basically when FFG decides to release a powerful spell, and as a good L5R player you decide that you're going to tech against a meta card, that the punishment from Bert is that it's just not in the sport of the game. Maybe I should have lost 3 honor just because I teched that card into my deck.
Speaking of honor loss,
You are
and
dishonorable.
speaking of honor loss in that card, since you were testing it, how did you find the 2 honor loss? Worked as a cost. Did you find it hampering you, or?
I think it was a real cost, man. Like it's an expensive card to play. It feels like 2/3 of an assassination.
So I guess we should just quickly summarize that with the new Lion, it basically, like, it dominated. Most games, Ben and Bert both got 3 provinces on turn 1 because they were able to pump up so high, and with immunity from Spreading the Darkness, it was just really solid. However, in Crab, when I was testing it, that honor loss felt really hard, and it really changed how I think bidding will go in the future. And as Bert has said, it really feels like a real cost, losing 2 honor.
You know what I found? Whenever I was playing that card, I would end up bidding 5 on turn 1 and then sort of drop the bids because honor kind of suddenly crept up on me. So I felt like I wasn't actually drawing through as much of my deck, which is challenging.
Right now, I'm just testing it as a one-of in Crab. That as much as I love my Maho, I'm just using it to replace my 3rd Banzai as a way to not have that 1 per conflict limitation that, as you all know very well, sometimes I don't adhere to. So.
My favorite recent Enzi moment of just not adhering to card text was using the Agasha Swordsmith to get a policy debate. It's pretty good.
Man, Swordsmith is fucking broken.
he's just adhering to the upcoming August rules reference guide update, guys.
I didn't reveal the policy debate until he asked.
Oh no, you just put it in your hand. And I asked you, what did you draw, man? Oh yeah, this sweet card. I'm like, no.
As if Dragon weren't already busted enough. They have to change that card.
That's right.
So I guess with that 2-1 loss comes, like I said, that the line seemed to dominate by just being able to pump. But we discussed it. It meant, numerous times over the night that perhaps things like Watch Commander and bidding low against Lion seemed to make that 2 honor loss really, really hurt. Because it basically pressures them into breaking by turn 2 or 3, or else they kind of run out of steam.
Yeah. It's a challenge, right? I think that the air pack was a good first pack to open with, not just because it's, alphabetically it's the first one you should do anyway. But you can get Kudaka out there, and then Strength of Darkness comes in, and all of a sudden going for the airing is really good, because not only do you get a card and a fate for it, but you can make up for the fact that you had to play Spreading the Darkness to win the air conflict.
I think one great side effect of that card is that it means that bidding 5 is no longer a guarantee.
Yeah.
And people are trading their quantity of cards for powerful individual effects, which I really like, because then it's like a trade-off rather than just a mash the 5 button every turn and we all just play with 15 card hands. I like that.
I think if you're playing Spreading the Darkness, you bid 5 turn 1 and your canny opponent bids 1. Like, you've lost 4 on already. You're looking at that card, you're looking at Banzai. It's a huge cost.
Well, you only know that in a cut, though, right? You don't know what they're playing in any other
Swiss,
situation.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but say you get to the cut and you figured it out, right? Like, there's the potential to bid a little bit lower if your deck doesn't require those 5 cards, right? You cause a lot of damage to the opponent if they're playing a lot of on-loss cards.
Don't you just do what our Scorpion Hatamoto did, and that's bid 1 against an opponent you know is playing 3 Spreading in the Darknesses, and then play 2 Yoga Kikios? Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
I may have done that.
Sorry, man. It must just be you, because I played against him on Saturday,
You
and the
destroyed me.
Kikios didn't really work because they got discarded before they could get played.
All right. Well, that might be a good segue. Probably just before we leave off the Friday night test group, probably what I took away from that is if you're lucky enough to have a bunch of, like, a good local play group and someone has a place to pull some people over, it's a hell of a lot of fun to just get a team of folk together and just try out a bunch of decks and make a night of it. I had a ball. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, it definitely helps, I guess, bring players together, and I definitely think my fondest memories so far in the game are definitely these sort of nights where we get together with the new pack. It's funny that Bert mentions that the Scorpion spell check was an issue, because last time we got together, I was guilty of the same thing when the Phoenix pack came out. And so I hope that tradition continues with all the new spells that come out. I just want to quickly touch on Enzi's point as well, that I think Enzi's actually already, as he always is, ahead of the meta. I actually think Enzi, a one of or 2 of Spreading the Darkness seems like the correct call, at least at a crab.
So
One more question on this pack and your Friday night test group. Other than Spreading the Darkness, because obviously every cast has gone into serious detail on how lovely this card is, how meta-defining they think it is, etc., etc. Is there any other, 1 or maybe 2 cards from this pack that you changed your mind on, or that you found to just be, really useful that you tested?
I don't know about you guys, but I thought Upholding Authority seemed to pull its weight over the
I
night.
was going to say exactly the same thing. Upholding Authority is great.
hand information is huge, and it usually does a pretty good job, like getting rid of their best card.
Yeah, I don't know if I changed my mind on it, but Glenn had an interesting strategy as soon as he hit it. First of all, it was a surprise out of Phoenix, right? And then the strategy seemed to be to get rid of all the cards in your hand before they could be looked at. Is that right?
I guess because I was running an attachment-heavy deck, I could afford to do that. I definitely feel like against, say, Scorpion or Crane, you're going to get a lot more value out of that hit because they could have like 2 for shames in hand that they just haven't been able to play yet, or a noble stack or something. Yeah, I think mind you, it's one play group, but we didn't really test it against Pathfinders that much. But I think that's the only issue with that card, is that the interrupt just gets cancelled, and it's a waste of a province.
Yeah, so the issue of every province versus Pathfinders.
That's not a problem with the province, though. That's a problem with Pathfinders, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you're Ben, that card's clearly not on the restricted list, but for the rest of us, yeah, there's a reason it's on the restricted list.
All right. My card of the week for that pack was Icoma Reservist. That little guy, he's in the conflict. Like, if he was a Dynasty card with those same stats, he'd be absolute trash, right? But as a conflict guy in that new Hitsumori Stronghold, did so much work. Just continuously was there to start conflicts, to get Legion of One, just be like count 10 force for one fate. Brilliant.
I just kept sacrificing it to the box. But when I first read that card, I was really disappointed. But I have to say, in practice, it's a little better than I thought. I think most of that, though, is just that we don't have good one-drop conflict characters. And any other clan wouldn't be playing it, right? So, like, no other clan would play that card. It's pretty much trash compared to all the other 1-for-1 in the game. But because we're Lion, it's pretty good for us.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. That's the reason why it's good. It's because Lion doesn't have that. They're going to borrow skirmishes.
But was there any card that jumped out at you when you played it with or against?
Pack 2, hey. I didn't get a chance to play against Crab. Or against Yori specifically, but I think that card is the card of the pack, personally.
I just think...
the other card.
I just think against the Waves just ruins your day, but I agree that the abilities were quite strong.
Feral Ningyo, that card is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Huge fan.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to drop for free.
I actually remain undecided on that card.
You put it into practice, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. And I had it in my hand a bunch of times, but the question that kept coming up was, do I want to attack on water or air, right? And I'm probably more likely to win on water because I can put this character into play, but air's the effect that I really want and need. So I am still not sure.
So it can kind of... And I think that's a bit of a theme with this arc, right? Like, cards that have strong effects, but they kind of force you into a particular path and a particular ring selections.
I just thought of some jank you could do is that you run the Lighthouse and you mill your own deck on the conflict side. So you put a spell into the bin and you put a good card on top, a good card on the bottom, draw. Then in the conflict phase, you drop it from hand and then shuffle it back into your deck so your deck is random again. And then you just rinse, repeat. I don't know. Is there any value in that play?
No, because I think it's the opponent. Yeah, it's an opponent's deck. You can only.
You can't target your own.
Can you?
No,
You
you could walking the way. No, that's Dynasty side. Never
that's
mind.
Okay. That was just my jank thought for the day.
Okay, are we all good for pack 2?
I think
Friday
the only
night.
other thing I wanted to say was that so Sabotage finally hit the table. And it was useful every time against my opponents. Removing a Conjure District has never felt better. And more importantly and more powerfully, removing a Unicorn holding. The new one, I can't remember. I forget the name of it.
Shitomi Encampment, don't forget it.
Yeah, I think that card is something that everyone should be keeping their eye on, because that's a really strong effect.
And are you feeling it's a 1 of, 2 of?
Undecided. Maybe even a 2 of, but it's
probably
just
2 of.
slots.
All right.
But I think 2 of.
I'm going to be pushing for an Earth roll for Lion, probably Secret of Earth.
Just
If I win Worlds, I'll be picking Secret.
When you win.
Why Seeker? But
I want Pathfinder's Blade, and I want to be free of the chains that bind. The Keeper Province Rows just suck. I'm sick of not having fate, so I'm down for the Seeker.
All right.
Yeah.
cool.
Guess we can close the file on that one.
Sounds good.
Okay. Saturday's tournament.
Who wants to run through? I wasn't there, so I'd like to hear from someone who was on the
Merlin,
ground.
why don't you set the scene as the highest ranking player of that tournament here? You might want to
Before you continue, can I just say, I didn't attend either, but I heard it was another weekend where Hadamoto's got crushed on the battlefield. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
What's
that's
going on?
for me.
It's the number one. The number one crane player in Victoria, this guy called Hugh, unbelievable player. He just took it all out 3-0.
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know. It was a 3-round tournament. I don't know what you can tell from a 3-round tournament. In
not
terms
much.
of like the people that went, I thought it was a really good, diverse sort of scene, like number of clans, that kind of thing. We didn't see any unicorn, which was a bit of a shame because I think unicorn are really, really good at the moment. Really, really good. Maybe not really good, but certainly a lot better than they were. The only clans that were contested were Phoenix and Scorpion. Everybody else was like a one-off.
Yeah, I got wrecked. I played Scorpion and just found myself up against these Phoenix decks, which seem to be splashing Watch Commanders and Tadaka, and I guess what I learned was that I can't play my sleazy, no attachment, no Cloud the Mind decks and expect to just cruise past Phoenix like I could probably pre-restrictedless. It's just not a thing anymore. It's very hard.
Is that why you went for
I
a
feel the
sleazy intro to the podcast?
I wanted to set the tone, man. It wasn't sleazy, it was smooth.
No, it made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Shout out.
Was it a Jackie Treehorn intro? Is that what it was?
Jackie Treehorn actually produced that song, so yeah.
Magnificent.
So just for some clarification, Ben, the Scorpion deck, what type of build were you running? More importantly, what new cards did you throw into the mix?
I had Maze in there. 3 Mazes, 2 Icon Swims. I had the new Upholding Authority. And Upholding Authority did a good job. That was a good card. Totally rate that one.
What went on box instead?
Oh, no. I regret what I ran on box. I should have run Rally.
Was it Night Raid?
It was Night Raid. It was Night Raid.
Yeah, I knew
look,
it.
Rally would have been better. When it hit, Rally would have been better. But, I still believe in Night Raid. No one else does.
I believe you. I believe in you. But one day that card would be really good. It's just one of those cards where no one will think of it, and then they'll go all in on a swarm strat, and then you feel really good.
Do you think that with the Kuniori sort of Earth Ring crab build, is it potentially a spot in there for it?
I think I was trying it 2 weeks ago when we played.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, I just think Crab want to control the board more than they want to discard hand. And so removing a Fate using Talisman seems a lot stronger than a farmable province. Because in Crab, you kind of just don't want that farmable province because sometimes you will lose, but you won't let them break. And so having them just hammer home the Night Raid province is kind of feel bad. But I think there's potential. I think what you're saying, there's potential there. A hand control deck would be really fun out of Crab, as opposed to a board control deck. So yeah, there's some promise there.
I think Crab in particular don't want provinces that they want the opponent to break. You want to defend all of your provinces.
Yeah.
You want them all to have nasty, repeatable effects.
Yeah,
Kind of the same with Dragon. The only one they really have right now is Feast, which is broken. So,
do you guys? So obviously Hugh took it out with Crane. Do you guys want to just talk a little bit about what his deck was and what kind of did you guys see as him being able to navigate the field? Because Crane kind of haven't really made a big splash anywhere in quite a while, and I know it's only a 3-round tournament, but I'd just be interested to hear
So
what you thought had an impact.
He's been playing that deck for a couple of weeks now, and I think that kudos to him for trying it out and actually really giving it a good go, because it is an honest style deck, right? Like I think it's Phoenix Splash, and it's got the new cards in it that put the airing back in. It plays against the waves as its restricted pick, and I think it was enhanced with this pack with the holding that gives +1 during air conflicts. But the only game that he actually won by honouring out was the first round when his opponent really didn't keep an eye on his honour, and he managed to kind of sneak that one in there. And his last round he played against Rob, who was playing the good old defensive dishonour style deck. And he did really well with that, actually, like with 0 cards from this cycle. But that was his last round, and I think he won the rest of his matches by conquest. So it seemed like it was kind of a dishonour switch, maybe?
Yeah, well, it let him bid 5 every turn eventually. But he was playing against... Yeah? Sorry, he played against Jay Christoph for his second round match, and Jay was playing Crab. And it was one of those games where sometimes it's pretty rare that Creighton just absolutely bollocks a Crab opponent and just destroy them by conquest by turn 3. But that's what happened. He got his Voice of Honors, all 3 Voice of Honors off, and no matter whatever move the Crab player had, it didn't matter. Like, it was just got rolled, and it was just devastation.
I think he plays Mirror's Gaze as well, which really complicates things when it hits the table. Like your decision making, your cognitive load just triples when it hits the table.
No, only if you don't have the let go in hand. You just go, let go, and then you just don't worry about it.
He Voice of Honors you let go. Believe me, I've tried it.
Crab rarely run let go, so in that matchup probably wasn't going to happen.
You Voice of Honor the let go, and then you copy the let go's effect, and then you just fist your opponent.
That'd be gross.
Yeah. So as you can see, it's pretty It was a pretty challenging matchup. If you could get the Voice of Honors off, and there was a mountain that does not fall, and a couple of other key events got cancelled. Or rebuild got cancelled. So it just made it very, very hard for Jay to stand up, because I think that the Crab matchup, if it goes long enough, I think it's very hard for Crane to stick around. But when you play Crane mega aggressive and you manage to get those first breaks, then you got a chance of actually closing out. I still reckon it's a pretty tough matchup.
I think a lot of people think that Crab is favoured. In my experience, maybe it's just my inexperience, I've always felt like Crane is favoured, simply because they do have that potential to kind of come out of the gate swinging, and you sometimes don't have a flop that's prepared for that aggression. So kudos to Hugh for showing the potential of the Honor deck, which is only kind of going to get a bit stronger with some new cards. And I don't think it's an exclusive Honor. I think he messaged me and said that it's kind of a hybrid of the Conquest and Honor. Yeah. And everything we discussed last week about it, like gaining the Honor so he can draw higher, seems like it all kind of worked in his favour. So yeah, good job to our local player Hugh.
Hey, just one quick word on Mirror's Gaze. I think that card is in the same class of category as Watch Commander. I think it's a denial card. So just keep that in mind when you're playing against.
Yep. As in, like, by the fact of its presence on the table.
It's present, its presence alone. Exactly right. Because if you play an event, then your opponent can immediately react with exactly the same event with potentially more devastating effect.
Do you think that card is something that Crane actually need, given they have Guest of Honor and Voice of Honor? It's 2 cost as well. I don't think it's going to see competitive play. The Mirror's Gaze.
I think that some cards are printed into some clans not because those clans need it, but because it encourages a splash into those clans for other decks. I think it's one of those.
If you have a flex slot though, like I'd happily put a 1-of in if I had room. Like
there's no room. There's no room for a flex slot in Crane.
No, I'm talking about, I think it's splash.
As a splash card, yeah. But then you're splashing Crane and then you're losing because you don't have attachment hate.
Yeah. Like one of our other local players, Marwin, he runs Phoenix Crane to good effect. And so, I don't know. I think Merlin's correct. And I think, regardless of it, it's definitely something you need to play around. It's also something that, like I said last week, I think it's just fun to play. It's frustrating to kind of understand what will happen when you play it, but it is a fun card to play.
All right. Well, just before we leave the second pack meta, there's a couple of Discord tournament games been going on recently with some of us rollers. Today there was a good one in the Australian Discord between Toridori and Ends. Did either of you want to kind of run through it, how it felt?
No.
The game was horrible. I can't believe we streamed it. It's an embarrassment from my house.
Hey, Enzi, what happened in that first turn?
Let's see. I put 2 Fate on Nuona. Yep, that happened. And then you embraced her, and you assassinated her. And other good things happened. Oh, you display a powered.
Yep.
For, I don't know, fire, pretty
That
sure?
was water. Got to keep
Water?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you've displayed for fire the next turn.
Yeah.
Or the turn after. Yeah, so basically that's the synopsis of the game. Oh, no, it's not, actually. I got lost in my own maze of illusion twice. So he guessed even correctly twice in a row. And then he played maze against me, and I guessed incorrectly. So, yeah, that card can just burn, basically. I don't think I'll be playing it in my own decks ever again, because it's just too hit or miss, and the miss outweighs the hit, in my opinion. And that's a card for other people to play, and for me to hope that I guess correctly against them, and then I don't need to worry about it.
So, Enzi, let me just ask you this critical question. Different people in this podcast.
They were sold out of cream at the store. So
so there's different ways of people on this podcast determining which bid they turn to. I was wondering if you had any secret insights into how you turn your dial.
I should be using a die, probably.
To turn your own dial?
Yeah.
You're with Ben on that. Simcox, do you want to quickly just summarize how you determine what your own bid is for Maze?
Yeah, sure. So if there's no tactical, because very occasionally there's a tactical reason why you choose something or the other, but in general, I'm going to roll a dice to determine whether it's even or odd. And when I put in a 2 or a 4 or a 3 or a 1 or a 5, that could be tactical. But generally speaking, right, I just think that it's not worth playing my own games. I don't want to have that stress. I don't want to have to go to bed thinking about, he meted me. I was going to like meta, buster his thinking. It was like, there's no 4D chess. It's just roll a dice, get on with it, next action.
Well, at one time I looked over at the table and I thought you guys were playing Star Wars Destiny with the amount of dice rolling going on.
Yeah, I resent the dice rolling. The only reason I run it is to set up... I think if it works, it's obviously a stupidly powerful effect, right? But it's really inconsistent. I hate running inconsistent cards in my deck, but because it sets up Icon Swims, misinformation, lots of powerful cards.
You fucking troll.
If I wanted to set up another card, I think I'd actually play it again, but I think that for the time being, it's just not going to happen.
So Enzi, you weren't there Friday night, but I think one of my fondest memories from that night is Ben playing 3 of them against Jay Christoph, and Jay rolled a dice twice, and I think he got it correct twice in a row.
Yep.
And then Ben played the third one, and Jay just decided he'd say the number instead of rolling the die, and that was the time he got punished. And he was basically ready to flip the table, which is basically how bad it feels to play that card or play against it.
And it only worked against him once. It worked against me thrice.
Yeah, it didn't work against your opponent.
I take the completely opposite approach. I love the card. I'll be playing in all of my decks from here into eternity. And I just soul read my opponent. Even if they roll dice, I seem to get it right. So that's what I do. I just roll high.
I think I'm 0 for 15 so far in terms of my plays or played against. So I think I just kind of want to walk away from that card.
All right, well, let's do that and move on to the next segment, shall we?
All right. So what we're going to do is this is our ultra-fast version of a pack review. So we're not going to do a detailed analysis.
Sounds good.
20 cards of this deck. I've listed down the Glenn, Birdie, Enzi, and Merlin's names. And basically what we'll do is we're going to go in a row, and you get to say one sentence about each card. All right?
All right.
So I'm just going to read the card out, and then
This
we'll
is
start.
fun.
Yeah. So read the card out, and as I'm reading it out, think about the one sentence you're going to say, and then say it. Okay.
Wait, this is Fires Within, right?
This is the Fires Within. I'm just going to read
Okay.
the card text out. then everyone gets to say instance.
Can
And
we
just
just
for
answer
me,
in order of our Discord chat? So Merlin would go first, then Glenn. It's easier that way.
Okay.
all right. And just for me that needs to plan everything, are you going in alphabetical order?
I'm going Merlin, Glenn.
No, I mean with the cards.
I'm going on that spreadsheet you sent me. So I'm going number order,
Okay.
numerical
Okay.
order. So,
Go forth and ask.
yeah, so it's Merlin, Glenn, Enzi, then Bert. Okay. So first card is called a Banning Honor. It's a province. It's a fire province, and it has gets +2 strength whilst you have the fire roll. And as an interrupt, when this province is broken, choose a dishonored character, discard that sucker. Merlin, 1 sentence.
Great in Scorpion, comma, not sure about everything else.
Glenn.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to die. More people are going to die in Rokugan than ever before.
Enzi.
I'll be playing it in Crab. I won't be playing it if I have a fire roll.
Birdie.
Love at first sight.
Okay, fantastic. Next card, Haruma Koge. 2 costs.
Who?
Haruma Koge. K-O.
Don't read the card. Don't read the card.
Kogo.
Kogo. Okay. Cost 2, Sincerity. Reaction. After the draw phase begins, if you have lower honor than your opponent, look at the top 3 cards of your conflict deck and put them back in any order. He has 2 military, 1 political, 1 glory, and he's a bushy scout. He's a dynasty character. It is Merlin's thought.
Less than ideal.
Glenn?
Sincerity is nice, but Yusuke is better.
Enzi?
Still trying to figure out the puzzle.
Toridori?
I don't know, man. All the crab stuff's really good. Whatever.
Next
Can I just footnote that with it adds to Ben's
No.
Theorycraft scout deck that is forming.
It's a piece of the puzzle, man. I love it.
Oh, it's
All
going
right.
to be great. When they create a card that says Bow 3 Scouts to destroy a unit like they had in the old game, it's going to be sick.
Yeah, we're not there yet, but I believe. All right.
This whole scout thing is like Shay from the Jade Throne harping on about his Imperial deck and how Ishikawa is going to be a beast one day. It's just never going to happen, man.
I believe. All right, I'm with you, Shay. Next is a Crane Dynasty character, the Sedani student. He's a 2-coster. Character gets +2 political while you've claimed the air or firing. He's 1 military, 2 political, 1 glory, a courtier. Merlin.
Great keyword. Everything else is kind of meh.
Glenn.
Too many other incredible 2-costers in Crane.
Enzi.
You're paying 2 for the keyword in the art.
Toridori.
I reckon this is utter shit. I don't know why they printed it, given the state of their Lobi dynasty deck. I don't see why they even bothered to print it.
All right, terrible card. Excellent. Master Alchemist. He's a dynasty character for the dragon. 4 cost. Action during a conflict. Spend a fate to the firing. Choose a character. Honor or dishonor that character. 3 military, 1 political, 2 glory. Shigenja and the fire track. Merlin.
What the fuck do you think you're doing printing a card like this? It's amazing.
Glenn.
One extra fate for a honored general. No, thank you.
Enzi.
This is a key component to my Dragon Dishonor deck. That's right. I have a secret that's not kept by the Kami alone to reference its flavor text.
All right. B.
I think if you've got a Yakuni in play, it can be kind of nice, or any of the high glory guys. But overall, it's pretty expensive. I don't think most dragons will play it.
Okay. We've got a holding which may or may not be called Wrath of the Kami. It's a dragon card. +1 province strength. Limit 1 per deck. Action. During a conflict at this province, lose an honor. This province gets +1 strength until the end of the conflict. You can do that as many times as you want. And it's got a very important trait. Shrine. Merlin.
Sounds like it'd be kind of good in Enzi's honor deck.
Glenn.
It's limit 1 per deck. Let's just stop with that design, thank you.
Enzi.
Yeah, it's just bad.
Territory?
Insightful.
Okay, in the game of Texas Hold'em poker, there's a derogatory term for players who are just there to have fun, called fun players, creative term. And I think this card is made for the L5R equivalent. I think it can be fun, but it's trash. Don't play it.
Brilliant. Okay.
Ben, what was your thought? I feel like we're missing out on some key insights.
For that particular card, I think it gives you an option that is unique in L5R. There's no other card that lets you lose the game by taking an action. I guess but you can be on 25 honor and 24 honor, and then immediately lose the game by taking this 24 times.
So basically, you're saying there's an edge case in timed games where you can still get a full loss in the mod win window.
Yeah, I guess that's right. You can force. You can also
great strategy.
If you are splashing Scorpion, I'm not sure if that previewed save when you go to 0 on a reaction is splashable, but if it's splashable, you could trigger that card that lets you like cancel on a loss, gain an honor. Probably not very good. All right, let's keep on moving. Okay, Lion. All right, another amazing Lion
Just
character.
skip it. Just skip it.
No,
Just go to the next
Akoma
one.
That's my favorite
Ikehata?
card. Shut up.
Can we just get the Lion Hatamoto to like rein it in? On like everyone else wants to appreciate this.
One sentence, brother. You get your turn. Skip it could be your sentence. Akoma Ikehata, Lion character, 3 cost, covert, first Lion character printed with covert on it. Reaction. After this character wins a political conflict, which is Lion strength, choose a character you control, dash, honor that character, which improves their honor condition, draw 1 card. It's a 1 military, 2 political, 2 glory, and a courtier. Merlin.
I cede my time on the floor to the Lion Hatamoto.
Glenn?
Potential in the honor deck, and you draw a card, but anti-synergistic with all the cards that say when you lose a political conflict.
Izzy.
This card speaks to me on a whole nother level, and I will be getting a free beer from Bert when he finds just how terribly wrong he is about this card.
Territory?
I fucking hope you're right, mate. But as soon as I saw this guy before the physical card was spoiled, and I find it insulting. A 3 for 1/2 with 2 glory, with an ability that only triggers off something that we can never do as a clan, and a keyword in covert that we can't make use of in political conflicts. We're just never going to win a political conflict. So yeah, this guy, I will eat him on stream along with the Matsu 7th Legion.
Can I just say that this card is trash, but then it turns out to be amazing, is kind of something that you've done before.
That is true.
We also should just shout out to the flavor text of I like to think of myself as the main event.
Oh man,
God.
the lol.
Oh god.
That is fantastic. I love it. All right, let's keep moving. Dynasty holding for Lion called Ancestral Armory. Gives you +2 province strength. Action, sacrifice this holding. Choose a weapon attachment in your discard pile. Return that attachment to your hand. That's it. Merlin.
I don't know. Maybe when you're Seeker of Earth or something.
Get Pathfinders back, yeah, I guess. Glenn?
I'm not sure what to think of this. I guess if they have to be careful with the weapon keyword moving forward.
Enzi?
Yeah, I think Pathfinder's Blade. That's what it says.
Yeah, okay. Birdie?
No comment on that one, man. Let's keep going.
Keep the rage in check.
That means it's going to be good, right? Like, that means it's good.
All right. Let's go to the Chike Order Protector, or Chakar Order Protector, a dynasty character for Phoenix, 4 cost. While this character is defending, if you control a participating courtier or Shigenja character, this character does not bow or resolve a conflict resolution. 4 military, 3 political, 1 glory, Bushi Yojimbo. Merlin, I'm excited to hear what you got to say.
Well, I can't restrict myself to just one sentence. Sorry, bro. This guy is good for a bunch of different reasons. Fits in both style of Phoenix deck. Has only 1 glory. Yeah, I think it's just solid all around. Good.
Okay, Glenn.
Why pay 1 fate for clarity of purpose when you can pay 4 for this character?
Enzi?
I think we may find he's overcosted by fate, but I think it's really interesting.
All right, Birdie.
I'm starting to think that Phoenix have hit a saturation point with standing and readying effects, and so I think that this guy's just a little too expensive, and you're just better off relying on your old faithfuls against the waves and Clarity of Purpose.
All right, next character I'm very excited about. Dynasty character for Scorpion, Soshi Shiori. Scorpion, 5 cost reaction. After you win a conflict, choose a player. That player loses 1 honor. Unlimited. Military 2. Political 5. Glory 2. Shigenja Heir. And Daimyo of the Soshi family. Merlin?
I think it's good, but it might suffer. It might not see play because of the keywords.
Glenn?
Bows to Against the Waves. Again, just I don't know where it fits.
Enzi?
I just love the hard honor loss. Like, this is old school Scorpion, just gonna just drain you. It's beautiful. Maybe overcosted.
Bertie?
I also love the old school Scorpion style of this card. I think it's going to be pretty good. I think the fact that it doesn't have to be in the conflict means that bowing to Against the Waves is not as big a deal as it otherwise would.
Yes, that's
it'll see
my
play.
point. I think it's good ambush bait, and like fantastic thing to ambush out, right? And also, like, you don't care if it's bowed. It still does this ability. Anyway, let's move on. Battle Maiden Recruit. Unicorn character. Massive cost of 0. This character gets +2 military, where you've claimed the Water or Void Ring. 0 military. 0 political. 0 glory. Bushy Battle Maiden Cav. Merlin.
Okay, so if you're just going to buy it, it's negative tempo, and I don't like negative tempo, but you can get it back with cavalry reserves. So it's kind of like the opposite of a character that you ditch because you can only charge it in.
Glenn?
Just another card to remind me that Bushi Scout is never going to be playable.
Enzi?
Yeah, I think it's Satoshi bait. It's going in the bin.
Bertie?
I love that team.
I agree with Merlin and Chris, and I think that it'll end up being not worth the slot in your limited dynasty space. That's my pick.
The only thing I'll say positive about it is Satoshi bait, because when you cav out, it'll be fine, right? Like, it's just an extra character, and there's more unicorn effects that say if you've got more characters in play, then you can do this effect. So I think it's good for cav reserves. Right. Wicked Tetsubo. It is a conflict attachment for Crab. It costs 2, so it's cheaper than Pit Trap. Attached to a Berserker character. So it's Berserker only. It's restricted. God, this better be good. Action. During a conflict in which the attached character is attacking, choose a defending character and select either military or political. Dash. Set that character's selected skill to 0 to the end of turn. It gives you +1/+1. It's a weapon. It's 1 splash. Merlin?
It's not appetizing. Sorry.
Glenn? Crab had him at Glenn?
I was thinking about this card earlier today. I think for a Berserker aggro deck, Crisis Breaker or the Tainted Warrior seem like good targets. But honestly, I'll be just playing a Scorpion kill deck with this as a 3-of. With the seals.
I love it. I love it. All right, Enzi?
I think that if it's set the selected skill to 0 until the end of the turn, or the phase, I should say, then it might be more appetizing. But the way I play Crab, it's not going to make it into my decks.
Bert?
I think it's just a way too restricted. It has to be a Berserker. It's restricted itself, costs 2, and then it only works when you're attacking. So in the military conflicts, when you're attacking, you're already going to be winning them if you're playing Zerkers, and so it's not relevant. It's only really good for when you're hitting people in political conflicts, and so I think it's just not going to see play.
Do you think its effect is at least 2/3 as good as Pit Trap? Like, is it costed effectively?
You can't divide by 0, mate.
Is Pit Trap the benchmark? Is that FFG's benchmark?
Alright, let's keep moving.
Does J2 cost the same, right? So, like, compared to that card, I can see why you'd say one is better than the other.
Can I just say that this card has some interesting play, like if you're in the mirror matchup, you can attach it to your opponent's Berserkers, or you can combo it with the seal and do interesting things on your opponent's characters without your characters needing to be present. Just putting that one out
But
there.
if you attach it to them, when they attack you, they can pick you, or like you can pick yourself, right?
Why would you?
Yeah, but you give them +1.
Yeah, you just like choose the character it's attached to. Oh no, it's choose defending.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Ignore me completely.
All right, let's keep moving. Time is of the essence. Icon of Favor. It's a Crane card attachment, 0 cost. Fire roll only. Very strong trait. While you have the Imperial Favor, attached character gets +1 glory. Reaction after you win a fire con. Honor that character. +0/+0. It's an item with 2 influence costs. Merlin.
I think it probably could see play, to be honest with you. There's the honor deck that seems to be emerging.
What clan? What clan are you seeing it played?
Crane.
It can't be played in Crane.
Unplayable.
Not currently. I know. Yeah.
Oh, in like a future version of
You
Crane.
could, just like you can do a dishonor fire, you could do an honor fire.
Alright. Glenn?
I've tried in Lion honor deck, but other than that, not sure where it fits.
Izzy?
Well, I'm just glad it doesn't cost 1, because if it did, it would be binder fodder.
Birdie.
I think it's just absolute coaster. I don't know why you'd ever play this over the Magnificent Kimono. Like, it just doesn't. It gives you less stats and has a worse ability. So there you go.
Cool. Alright. Insult to Energy. It is an event for Crane. It's got a great picture. It's after a duelist character wins a duel, dishonor the losing character. It's got 1 influence, but so it's splashable. So Crane event. Merlin.
I don't think there's really enough duelists around at the moment for this to have an effect, like to be reliably played.
Glenn?
Crane are going to start killing a lot of people in Rokugan. There's a lot of kill cards in this deck, in this pack.
Izzy?
It's making me consider Crane as my splash in my Dragon Dishonor.
Yeah, I think this is a card that even in the future world where there's like a plethora of jewels, it probably still isn't good. So, yeah, I think it's probably a bad card.
Alright. I think that if there's a jewel that's on a box, if Crane get here's my box, I tap it to do some jewel, I think it's good.
Good call. That's a good call.
I actually also think Enzi's got a good idea. Is Retsugo a duelist? I don't remember looking. Yeah, well, I actually think Enzi might have an edge case there as well.
Great. I like it. Good work, Enzi. You are the innovator.
Thanks, mate.
You're an ideas man. Alright. Dragon attachment called Smoke. Cost 1 fate. Action. While the attached character is participating in a conflict, bow and sacrifice the attachment till the end of the conflict. Each non-unique participating character gets -2 mill skill. Mill, +1/+0. It's a spell, fire. Merlin.
So I think there are better options out there, so I'm not going to play this card.
Glenn?
It has a good keyword with spell and also fire, so in the Phoenix Fire deck, I guess it would be useful.
Enzi?
I think everyone is underrating this card. I think that when the meta develops and we see more swarm decks, Phoenix can play it fairly reliably. They have a lot of uniques. I think we'll find that when everything comes out of the wash, that it'll actually be decent.
Birdie?
I think as it stands, the best you're going to get is paying 1 to give your opponent -4 skill in a conflict, and that's like the best case scenario. So I don't really see it having a splash at the moment.
Okay. Next card's my favorite card of the pack. Jurigen's Curse. It's a Phoenix card. It's really a Scorpion card, but it says Phoenix on it. It has 0 cost. It's void roll only. Forced interrupt. It's an attachment, by the way. Forced interrupt. When the fate phase ends, if attached character is ready, resolve another fate phase after this one. It's +0/+1, so it does give you a political skill. Spell, void, curse, influence 1. Merlin.
I really love the flavor of this card, but I think in practicality, you're right. Scorpion are the only ones that are going to be playing it.
Glenn.
This card probably deserves an essay, but I think it's one of the meta-defining cards moving forward.
Enzi.
I think it's fantastic.
Bert.
I am shocked that this only costs 0. I think it's absolutely bonkers that this costs 0. It's like one of the most powerful effect to cost ratios we've ever seen in the game. It's absolutely mind-boggling. The fact that it's void roll only is pretty nasty as well.
How would you rate its effect to skill cost if we're using Pit Trap as the par?
It's worth about 25 Pit Traps then.
25 Pit Traps?
Yeah.
25 Schmeckles. It's like it costs 1 influence too, so like it's very, very splashable. So whoever's void roll can always consider this as a realistic option.
Just 3 displays, 1 Jurigens. Well, you play 3
Can
Jurigens.
Can Unicorn consider it as a realistic option, Glenn?
We discussed it pretty heavily on Friday night. We just think because of the Voltron kind of approach currently with Unicorn, that it kind of hurts you more. But if you play the Simcoff build where you put 5 Fate on someone, I actually don't see any issue with running this card.
The 10 cost Juro.
Yeah, no, I got a deck off a guy called Demagogue, and yeah, it was 5. You put minimum 5 Fate on any of your Unicorn characters, and it uses Height of Fashion. I'll leave it at that.
Shout out to the Kagura Greek players. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so Unicorn card, character, a conflict character called the Shiksha Scout. Okay, Shiksha Scout. So, all right, we'll leave that one there. Costs 2 Fate. While this character is participating in a conflict, you're considered to control an additional dude in this conflict. 2/2, 1 glory. Creature Scout. Merlin.
I'm going to abstain from judgment on this card. I think it has yet to be seen how well it combos with other stuff.
Glenn.
2 for 2/2 as a conflict character is not too bad. So I don't know. I try it as a one of. Wayfinder is the comparison, I guess, and for 1, their ability is insane. We'll see if the more participating really has an impact post 6-packs.
Enzi.
AEG did this really cool thing where they give a really cool Naga to the Unicorn clan with really amazing art, and it would be on just the edge of playability. And I like to see how I just love how FFG is continuing in that tradition.
Birdie.
This is the first truly awful Unicorn card printed since last arc. They've got all the good stuff up until now.
Back to their losing ways.
Yeah.
All right. Almost done. Invocation of Act. It's a Unicorn attachment. 1 cost. Action. Lose an honor. Good so far. Choose a character you control. Move this attachment to that character. Then remove 1 Fate from that character. +2/+2. Spellfire. Machado. Merlin?
This is a much better version of Smoke.
Glenn?
One Fate for a Fan and Katana combined seems pretty solid.
Enzi?
The only problem with this is that it's not Maho.
I second the motion.
I think that the movement effect is cool when you've got a guy with no Fate and a Reprieve, because the then part of it is a secondary effect, so that's pretty cool. It's probably a good one-off. I wouldn't play more than 1 there.
I think it combos pretty well with Blackmail. I'll leave it at that. All right.
And Jurgen's best, man.
Mantis Seafarer. Neutral character. Conflict character. Well, this is pretty exciting. 2 cost. Air roll only. Not as exciting. Reaction. After this character wins a conflict, lose an honor, - gain a fate, unlimited. +2/+2. Wait, am I? No. 2 military force, 1 political, 0 glory, bushy, and another one of those dirty Mantis clan. Merlin.
I think conflict characters are kind of competitive in Crane, but the ability's good, so it's a maybe from me.
Glenn?
This might be really dumb, but like, can you lose 5 honor and gain 5 fate, or is it per win with this character in a conflict?
Only 1 triggering condition.
Yeah.
Sure. With that in mind, I guess what we've discussed before, where Crane seemed to get a surplus of honor to then utilize it as a resource to either card draw or in this instance gain a fate, seems like it could be useful.
Yeah. Enzi, sorry.
I think you play him in Lion with the new box and Sashimono.
Yeah, roll only.
Birdie?
No. I mean in the future. Not now. Nobody has an arrow right now. Nobody can play this card.
I think right now. Okay, so to get much good use out of this, you need to win at least 2 conflicts, and it's still costing you 2 honor. Then it's a free body, right? Otherwise, if you only get 1 win out of it, it's a 1 cost for a 2/1, which is just mediocre. So I don't really think it's that good.
Okay, last card. The title is a bit of a Back to the Future moment for old L5R players. One of my favourite cards, Breach of Etiquette. Conflict card, neutral, 0 cost action. During a political conflict, until the end of the conflict, each time a player triggers an ability on a non-courtier character, he or she loses an honor, and you can play the card max 1 per conflict. Milton?
I actually think it's really good. I think that there are more triggering conditions than people will recognize at first glance.
Glenn?
Sort of like a pseudo, more restrictive watch commander. I'm not too sure how many triggered abilities are on characters that are constantly used in conflicts currently.
Enzi?
Good future potential.
Yeah, this is all about the future potential. Right now, you're maybe hitting the opponent for 2 honor in a conflict. There just aren't enough triggered abilities that we run. There's a lot of blank characters, especially with these sets. Like, there's a lot of, weenie blank characters with no abilities. So I think that it's probably going to take till the end of the arc or whatever it's called, or into the next one before we find you actually being able to hit someone for the 4 honor that you kind of want to get out of it.
Birdie?
I love the shout out to the old game. I think this card's already really strong, actually. So I think I'm on the other side of the argument here. I think that Crane and Scorpion are going to love using this to lock out not only your events, but also your printed abilities in play. And every point of honor is becoming more and more valuable as the game continues. So I think this card's going to see a bit of play.
My last thought on that is I think that more and more as a dedicated Scorpion player, I'm starting to see that you're not automatically putting 3 of every card in your decks anymore. I see this as a tool, and I don't think this is necessarily a 3 of. It's like a 2 of or a 1 of. There's a lot of cards now where I think you can actually run 2, and it's not terrible. You don't have to run 3 to be optimal. That'd be my thought. Right. So that is the end of the pack bit. We are almost at the end of it. Yeah, well done, good guys. So we're almost at the end of the show, but just so we're copying the pack review segment off everyone else. So we're going to copy another segment off every radio shows in the 1940s. So no Troll 5R, you weren't the first guys to do this. There was some dudes back in using ham radios or shit. All right, list of questions. I think we actually got one. I think that means we made it because we got a list of questions. Who is handling our social media? Who's our media manager?
I've got the question up if you'd like me to read it.
Do it.
All right. So Clinton Hay writes in.
Clinton Hay.
He goes, "Hi, I've got a 2-part question. First question is, would Ben explode if he was prevented from putting 3 times Fate Worse Than Death in his Scorpion deck?"
Yes.
Also, on a serious note, I understand that Karmic Twist has become popular with the Phoenix players in regards to tempo. Moving forward, do you think it is still viable with the game appearing to be pushed into a faster environment?
Well, I'll just before I let the other folk answer part B, big shout out to Clinton A. He introduced me to Legend of the Five Rings many years ago, in another place far away from my home in Melbourne now. He's a WA guy, and he's been pretty instrumental in getting the Perth group set up. So thanks for the question, Clinton, man. Have to catch up with you soon. So part 2, who wants to take a stab at Karmic Twist?
To be honest with you, I don't think Karmic Twist is going to see more or less utility than it does currently. There might be some more interesting interactions, but I think it's in the same place right now as it's going to be in the future.
I just want to piggyback on that. I think it's a deadly one-of for all time. I think in post-cut at tournaments, if you have one on your list, it's going to make your opponent play around it, and that's a really strong effect. So there you go.
So I guess Clinton's question was, he said, does it matter the game's seemingly getting faster? Does it still essentially have the same function
Yeah, I think so. I think that given that people are still stacking a lot of fate on strong, non-unique characters, that it's going to see play for a while.
Brilliant. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been a hot hour.
Before we go, we actually did get a few more questions.
We got a rush of questions. Sorry, Ben.
Oh, do we?
Run on the
for it.
Yeah.
Let's extend out.
All right, so I'll start one. Here's one from KP. Shout out to KP. Do you think that dueling will ever be interesting if one player is always able to pick both participants?
Wow, that's a really good question. Wow.
Well, it's certainly. Actually, I'll defer answering that question.
I'll say that anytime I've had a duel where it hasn't been a bully duel has offered an interesting element to the game in that current instance and offered a rewarding experience in terms of a mind game. And it felt like it was always reasonably costed. So I would love that to be the case if they change the ruling on the duels. And with more duels entering the game as we move forward, that would be a really lovely way to approach it.
All right.
Yeah, that's my thought.
I like it. So from Yutaku Yamada from, I believe, Sydney. How will more movement effects being in the game change things for each of the clans? Do you think it will affect like power levels of each of the clans?
Can I have a go at this?
Do you want to go? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I think that movements is something that hasn't really been a big part of the game. But what it actually does in the game is it puts if you're the person who's got a lot of movements, puts your opponent into this position of overcommitting and undercommitting, and that's very tactical. I hope that answers the question. Does that answer the question?
I think that was a good answer.
I think I'd also say that the more untelegraphed movement that comes into the game, the more interesting that dynamic becomes. Yeah. Currently, a lot of the movement effects are telegraphed, as in they are already on the board, and you can be aware that they're going to occur. But moving forward, the more that come from the conflict side will offer some interesting decisions, as Merlin has pointed out.
Yeah, I think Dispatch from Unicorn is a great card. And I like the idea of a lot of attacks begin with, all right, here's my little chud. He's stepping up to the plate, and he assigns it this province. And then you've got options after that. Like as a defender, if defensive movement is harder, how much do I actually commit to the conflict? And it becomes that extra game within a game about assignment.
Yeah, I love those leveling wars. So the more of those in the game that we see, the happier I'll be. I think it's going to be great.
And just one more thing. I think also the harpoons. The more harpoons that are in the game, the more that also adds a dynamic to that. Sorry, Bert.
All right, so next question. I'm just going to skip a couple because KP asked us a whole bunch. One from General Tacticus, who is a local Crane guy. Shout out to you, man. Are there any currently restricted cards that you think shouldn't be restricted? Does anyone have one off the top of their head?
Ben, do you want to answer that? Seeing as you've had experience.
Clearly forged
blade charge.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would say that part of me would like them to potentially errata some of these cards to then be able to take them off the list.
Charge being
the big one, where I think if you drop it to 3 cost or lower, it becomes a much fairer card.
I think For Greater Glory could come off, but I am biased.
Look, if there was a card, I think it is For Greater Glory. But I think in the current environment with the current cards we've seen, I think For Greater Glory should stay on.
Yeah. All right. So lucky last question. Another one from KP. What are your thoughts on the break for bonus provinces? The X roll, corresponding provinces.
I don't know what this is. Oh,
I'd like to go first.
Go for it.
The ones, Ben. The ones that are in this cycle, the ones where the interrupts that break.
Oh yeah, which have +2 strength based on your roll. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Sorry, Chris.
As I said about abandoning honor, I will not be playing it if I have a fire roll. So I think that you really actually see it as the inverse. Most of these things are, if you have this roll, you get this advantage. But really, because it's break and the idea of farming, that you just really want them to break. And so it's actually, use it in any elemental role except for the one that it's labeled as.
Except for water.
Except for water. All right.
What was the water one, Mel?
The water one is 5 province strength if you have the water ring, like it gets +2 if you have the water element. And it says, after this province breaks, send one of your defenders home. I think that's actually one that you want to put in on water because the point of it is to make your opponent spend resources. And once you've done that and they've conquered the thing, you send your guy home. So I think that's actually really strong. Yeah. And I think that's the opposite.
I have a thought on these. Part of the reason I love them is because effects that are strong on break speed up the game for all of us because provinces breaking means we don't go to time as often. So that's a good thing. I think that some of these are just not powerful enough to see play, and others are very, very strong, like the fire one and the void ones might see play. So I'm excited for those. But yeah, I think they're pretty cool overall.
You like it as a concept, right?
I definitely like one broken effects on provinces a lot. I think cool.
I just think that with Pathfinders in the meta, it's a challenging justification to put it in, but I think like Bert alluded to, I think the Earth, Fire, and Void one offer up. I think what's great about them is that they offer alternatives to the currently strongest provinces for those elements, which is always good when you have more options that actually feel like they're legitimate options.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you guys for the questions.
All
right.
right.
Want to wrap this up, Benny boy?
Yeah, let's do it. I guess any final thoughts from Merlin?
Not off the top of my head.
Glenn, shout-outs?
No shout-outs. I just think it's great that you guys had a great time on Sat Data tournament testing the new cards, and I just encourage people who can make it to these events each week, keep going, and just keep playing the game in your, with your friends and at tournaments, just so the community keeps growing. And we've all had a great time over the past few weeks doing that.
Mr. Enns?
Look, it was great to be here, and I hope that the listeners got something out of my edition. And if they didn't, well, too bad.
Keep grinding.
Keep grinding through podcasts, people.
Birdie?
I'd just like to say thanks for you guys for joining and everyone for listening. And also, if you listeners have a deck that you want some help with or just something you want to force me to play that's jank on Jigoku, send it in to me and I'll play it, and then we can analyze it on the next episode. So
There'll be a future segment. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in, and until next week, we're the Hidden City Roller Derby.